Hi, and welcome to the Pride Spotlight. Here we meet other Pride members, we get to know them a little better, and we find out what brought them to our lovely community. Hi, my name is Rheama, and I am honored to be your host. Today we'll be meeting with Angela Allan. Hi, Angela.
Hi, Rheama and everybody.
So, why don't we start off with you sharing with us a little bit about your day to day and where you're located in the world?
Sure. Well, I'm located in Norfolk in England, which is a county on the east of England. It's kind of the bump on the right of England at the bottom. And I've been here since about 2007. And I'm really, really lucky, actually. It's a beautiful county known for its big blue skies and wonderful beaches. I'm about 20 minutes from the coast, which is fabulous. So I go swimming there. It's lovely. And there are beautiful colonies of seals, both grey seals and the common seal. And there's a lot of migratory birds that come in from Iceland and places like that, grey lag geese and things. So it's a very diverse county, actually. It's very, very beautiful. My day-to-day life is I'm retired from nursing. So I don't do sort of official work, as it were, but I'm really keen to keep growing and learning. So I do quite a few online courses. I'm doing one with somebody who's specializes in human behavior. So it's about sort of who we are and why we are who we are, and it's fascinating. So I've learned a lot from him, and I also did do hands-on work at an animal sanctuary, looking after the wildlife. And I now do more behind-the-scenes work, like collecting charitable money from their collection tins and moving food that's been donated to the various charities. So that keeps me busy and looking after my animals. I've got a cat and I've got some chooks. So yeah, that keeps me busy.
Wow, that just sounds lovely. Yeah. So that was my next question is if you share your home with animals. So you do have some animal companions that you have there in your
I
home
do.
and the whole wildlife and ocean. Gosh, how lovely.
I'm very lucky.
Wonderful. So tell us what brought you to the Pride, Angela?
Well, I have always been since a little child. I've always felt that connectedness with nature. And when I was tiny, I used to wander off from home in Devon and talk to my favourite oak tree and the cows in the field. And so I've always felt that connectedness. And then Father Christmas actually gave me my first animal for whom I was to be the guardian. And he was really my true soulmate. And so that began my depth of understanding for animals. But I was still feeling that I wasn't totally there. And then I don't know how it came about that I saw something on P, or I can't remember how I was sort of introduced to her, but I started going to her in person workshops, which she was holding sort of around the London area predominantly then, and just found that that really felt like the veil of separation between the human form and the animal form dissolved away. And that was absolutely extraordinary. And so from there, I just became hooked and wanted to know more and practice more. So that's how it started, really.
Wow. And so how long have you been a member?
Ah, I meant to look it up. I think it must go back to the 90s that I've known P.
Yeah.
I think
No,
it must go back then. Yeah.
it's so what is your favorite aspect of the Pride? Is it the power-ups, the summit talks, the
Oh, it's that is such a difficult question to answer. Certainly the power ups, having that every month, so that if one has not had the time or whatever it might be to connect with animals, you know that that's going to be a sacred space where one can communicate. Um, I think that, so I think the practice is amazing, and being with like-minded people, and sharing all our different communications. And I think the energy that P brings to it, she really creates such a joyful and such a relaxed space to hold us all. And the way she sort of says there's no right or wrong, is so reassuring and gives one confidence. And hearing, as I say, other people's interpretation of animals is extraordinary. So I think all those things really, and I think also merging is something that, with her power ups, has been hugely transformational for me. uh, Particularly lynx was one of them. And that was, I think, the first animal that I had encountered with P, who was a predator. And I'm quite squeamish about things like that. But when it comes to actually merging with the animal, there is such dignity and lack of emotion in what they do. And that's not to say that they're not emotional animals, because we know animals express emotion like sadness and grief and that sort of thing. But it was just the isness of the kill. It was just something that needed to be done without emotion. And it makes you realize just how much us humans complicate our lives by emoting every event in our lives, really. It's, we're in a panic here because we're late and we're rushing there. And actually, if we just can try and drop our energy levels and just be present in the moment, emotions really go out the window. And I found that so incredible. Um, and I think also, eagle flying in the air with that majestic power that the eagles have was mind blowing. But they're all absolutely incredible, all of them, even
Uh,
down to little Ant, who has such a huge job to perform for the universe.
Absolutely, yes. So when you're listening to P relay the animal communications, how are you experiencing it? What are you hearing? Are you seeing? Are you feeling?
Yeah, I think for me it's different with each animal according to how they want to transmit their message to me. Um, I get a general sense of their energy and what that means, what that's meaning to me at that time. Like for instance, gorilla was, I felt quite a deep energy, and but I felt sadness, a deep, profound sense of sadness coming from them. So I get that general kind of picture, and then I tend to have words coming to me a bit like Ava. It's almost like sort of intuitive writing. Although there have been occasions where, if they want to put a strong message across, I hear their voice almost commanding me, or telling me something. And I know that that is something of huge importance. And I've also seen, like, snapshot images. There was one particular communication that I was involved in one of P's earlier workshops in person, where there was a black cat that was brought in by somebody, and we were asked how the guardian came to have the cat. And I instantly, sending shivers down my spine, I instantly saw, almost like a cartoon, a very two arms going like that, and it was very, 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 very high up. And I saw the cat falling on its right side because it was facing me. And I then thought, that was my intuition. And then I thought, well, I felt it felt like um, it was being thrown off by probably young boys, being thrown off a tower from a great, great height. Um, and then I thought, no, that can't be true. And I'm ashamed of myself to say that I didn't actually speak out, because I thought, oh, I don't think I think I must have misinterpreted that. But that was actually what happened. And that was a very, very clear visual image I had. So it comes in sort of different ways, I think.
Yeah, so you've experienced it all depending
Yeah.
on the animal and the situation and the message.
Yes. And I've also had that with my little dog, who was my soulmate. I was having a walk with a girlfriend on a beach, and we rescued an oil slicked guillemot, I think it was. And the tide was coming in, and there was quite a high cliff at the back, and we had to get off the beach pretty quickly. And my dog went to the top of the sort of cliff hill thing, and it seemed in my mind's eye huge, and it was staring right at me, saying, "Trust me, follow me." And it was quite extraordinary because it led us up a path we hadn't come down from, across some cliffs, and through a caravan site to a cafe where we were informed where the nearest vet was for the bird. And then my dog led us back to the car, and it was absolutely extraordinary. And luckily, the girl I was with understood the communication that was going on. But there were no words. It was just pure faith in him and his desire to get us home. And that was absolutely extraordinary, actually.
Oh, that gave me goosebumps. That was
Oh, that's sweet. Thank
lovely. Wow. So, in what ways has being a Pride member enhanced or changed your life?
you. I'm going to look at some things I've written down, but well, I found my sort of deep soul voice now, and I feel as a person far more complete than I ever have done. Um, it's helped ground me, um, and knowing and being part of an interconnectedness with all beings, not just with animals, but with the trees and the flowers, is very reassuring, I think, particularly in this crazy world where it's become very isolationist for a lot of people. Um, Being able to connect at any time with the replays is terribly useful, I think. So, I mean, if you're having a sleepless night, to be able to just be able to do it easily by reconnecting with the site has been fantastic. Um, and learning something new each time and being able to revisit the replays. I think I mentioned once before that the chap that I do the human behavioral courses with, um, used to quote from a Greek philosopher, and I think it's Heraclitus, who said that no man puts his foot in the same river twice, because it is not the same man and it is not the same river. And each time you dip into the replays, you learn something new because you're in a different frame of mind at the time. And I think and also you hear different messages from the animals, and you can deepen that with connecting with them again. And so that's been incredibly powerful for me. Sharing the insights is amazing because you learn so much from other people and so much more about the animal. And it also helps you feel on track because you can verify what you felt through what other people are saying. Um, and also the sense of immersing oneself in their energy, bathing in it, and reconnecting to source, to the oneness of life and life's essence. And I feel that even if I'm struggling that day with communicating, it's still such a safe and authentic space to be held in. And that in itself, I think, has huge healing powers for me.
Yeah. Wow. That's beautiful. So, what progress have you seen or felt with your communications with animals since you've joined the Pride?
Yes, so the progress that I feel since I've joined, it's deepened my sense of connectedness to the natural world. That the only differences between us and any other living form really is purely the exterior form, and the essence of life and the real meaning of life is in all of us, in every single atom. So there really is no difference between us. We just see life in a slightly different way. And there's also a very interesting piece from a book called Raising Hare by Chloe Dalton, and it's about her experience of looking after an abandoned leveret, which is a little baby hare. And she brings it to maturity. It then goes off into the fields and has its own babies and brings them back. And it comes to visit from time to time. And she's an author anyway, but it's beautifully written. And it's about communication. And she calls communication. She says communication is a gateway into a primordial reverence towards the living world, and a sense of commonality, and connectedness across species that enables us to have a greater respect and reverence for nature and the environment as a whole. And I thought that was beautifully put, because I really love her phrase primordial reverence, because it is such a deep feeling, that connectedness with animals that P has helped us to realize, and that for me is hugely profound. Um, and I think in practice, I've now understood the difference between um, thinking of the answer to the communication. And for me, that's a very clear survival brain tactic, where your survival brain is there to protect you, and so it's desperate to come up for an answer for you, and so you'll grab at anything, or I certainly knew that I did to start off with. And you will go for the sort of the obvious answers. What's the dog's favorite treat? It's a bit of sausage or something or other. And I remember once P had a Labrador whose favorite food was banana. And at the time, if I thought banana, I would have thought, no, you're making it up. So I now know the difference between the survival brain thinking an answer and my deep uh, intuition. And I think also P's wonderful energy, her relaxed style of presentation, and her sheer joy, and she just can handle anything. And even if tech goes wrong, she's just the same balanced P, and that is just so wonderful. It's terribly serious, but at the same time it's got a very light feel to it, and I think she really generates that feeling, certainly in me, and I'm sure in all of us, to enjoy.
Yes, absolutely. A very nice calming presence for sure. So, how do you feel you're integrating the wisdom that you receive into your daily life?
So I feel that animal communication has become such a part of me now that I commune with nature without almost being conscious of doing it. And that's not only animals, but plants and trees. I've had a huge connection with trees over the past, and I think integrating it has been very. I've had a couple of very particular moments of integrating it with my animals. My current animal isn't very well at the moment, and he came to me amazingly when I had another animal that was very unwell, and he was transitioning, and he was a black feral cat that I'd domesticated, and he sent me the message that there will be a continuum of cat. And I wouldn't have understood that had I not done the communication with P and learnt the process. And I remember looking out the window and seeing my current cat as a little kitten. Well, in fact, it was another little black cat actually that started the process, and it turned and looked at me as if to say, "It's all right. There will be continuum of cat. Pushkin has sent me to you." And then there were two. She had two siblings, a female and a little male tabby. We domesticated all of them. Well, actually, we domesticated two of them. We had to trap them and then neuter them. And the little black cat was simply the messenger and didn't want to know anymore. And we then domesticated the other two, one of whom is the one I still have now. And I know that process wouldn't have been possible without the communication that I've learnt from P. And there was also another little stray cat who came to me, who I'd been looking after, and came for the last time. And I happened to be in the kitchen when he came in, and he sat and looked at me with his eyes sort of half closed, smiling. And we just had this heart communication. There were no words, but it was pure and utter love. And I knew he'd come to say goodbye. Even I knew it in my heart that it was a deep and meaningful communion that words couldn't have expressed, and therefore there was no need for them. And that was the last time I saw him. He left with huge dignity, and that was the last time I ever saw him. And had I not um, understood true animal communication through knowing P, I would never have had that magical moment. And I think those are the periods that where I really realize how much it's influenced and integrated into my very being, really.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So you're trusting. You're trusting.
Yes, that's it. Trust is definitely the word. Yes.
That's wow. So you spoke earlier about lynx and bald eagle being really powerful communications during a power up. Do you have a favorite species that we've had?
It's That's such a difficult question because all of them are favorites in their own way. Lynx, as I say, I just had such a powerful communication with him and saw things in a linear way. It was as if his eyes were like this. And so I didn't see a huge expansive view. I just saw very linear because he was focused on um, trying to get some food. Um, Eagle, yes, that was amazing. I have to say, I loved Gorilla. And to hear Harumbi's voice, I was so affected by that awful situation with Harumbi, and to know that he's back as a spokesperson for his species was hugely profound. It really is making me feel very emotional now talking about him. And it's just their sheer and utter universal wisdom. I mean, who would have thought that a seemingly small little beetle even has a we know they have a purpose, but to have that huge, or pangolin was another one that sorry, I'm darting all over the place because they're all coming in now saying me, I want to have my name mentioned. um, Pangolin was amazing because pangolin really spoke to me. It resonated with some things I'd been learning on the human behavioral course, and that was all about digging down, digging down, digging deep. And then the light, spreading the light, which we need in this very difficult world. And on the course that I was doing, it was about don't worry that things seem dark at the moment and you're not getting there, because seeds need to be buried. You need to dig down, 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 which is what Armadillo was saying. Plant the seed. It will live in the darkness, which is okay because that's part of its growth. And then it will come up and it will come into the sun and the light and thrive. And so that really was quite extraordinary, the synchronicity of those two things. So Armadillo was beautiful, Gorilla was wonderful. Hedgehog also was extraordinary because I've worked a lot with hedgehogs in the wildlife unit, and their busyness just made me laugh when P got that. They're always on a mission, and that was just fantastic to be with them on that.
Yeah, that's great. So, is there anything else you'd like to share with us today, Angela?
Well, I did want to say how amazing the World Summits are, and how hearing from people who specialize in such incredible detail with a particular species. I never knew that there were so many people out there that really had that depth of knowledge on the one species. And for me, I think the ones that really I remember so well was snake. And I think to be introduced to species that we've not really had a relationship with in our normal lives has been amazing. But the healing snakes just blew my mind away. That was absolutely incredible. So I think the World Summits are fantastic, and to hear people who communicate with trees, it's that is absolutely exceptional. And there's something I wanted to add to that, that there is an amazing thing I've learned, also through the new World Council that she's going to start. That is absolutely fantastic. And to think that there are so many people that now are respecting the voices of the various species. And it seems the obvious way to go. And a thing that is very exciting also is that I've recently read a book that I was given years ago, but it sort of fell off the bookshelf to me recently, on the power of water and how water communicates with us. And it's a little book written by a Japanese guy. And if I could just mention a few words from the preface, he's called Dr. Masaru Emoto, and he discovered that crystals formed in frozen water reveal changes when specific concentrated thoughts are directed toward them. He found that water from clear springs and water that's been exposed to loving words shows brilliant, complex, and colourful snowflake patterns. In contrast, polluted water or water exposed to negative thoughts forms incomplete, asymmetrical patterns with dull colours. And there's also another book written by somebody who did experiments with water in Petri dishes and froze them and looked at the crystals. And she found that putting a seed of a tree in water, taking it out and freezing it, the crystals formed into the shape of a tree. So the water understood the potential of that seed. I mean, it is absolutely mind-blowing. And considering we are 99% water as fetuses, and I think it's 77% as adults, there are huge implications for humanity, for disease, understanding various diseases. Because if our water is polluted, and they say that if you try to crystallize tap water, it really doesn't even want to crystallize, and that's because there are so many chemicals in it. So, for me, when I heard about her World Council, having read this book on water, I thought, wow, let's just not stop at the trees and the flowers and the animals. Let's think about water, because the implications of pure water energy and restoring water to its health affects all of us as well. So yeah, so very exciting.
So, yeah, I love that. I love that you shared that with us. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Angela, thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care. Bye bye now. Bye, Fancy.